A few weeks ago, we received a message from the Dehancer team expressing an interest in an honest review of Dehancer Pro. Since we do all our color grading in DaVinci Resolve, we asked for access to that version. This review isn't sponsored. We're simply sharing our own experience based on grading our footage from various projects. So, what exactly is Dehancer? It's a powerful film emulation plugin designed to bring the look and feel of analog film into modern digital workflows. Before anything else, make sure you set up a correct workflow. There are a few different ways. I'll dedicate another video for this. But now, briefly, for these shots from Sony, my project settings are these. I then set up CST in and CST out nodes and placed Dehancer in the middle between them. When you apply Dehancer Pro from your library, this is what you'll see. 19 main tools, each with its own submenus. If you're already familiar with analog film, the layout and terminology might feel intuitive. But if you're like me and you're not a full-on analog film nerd, it can be a little overwhelming at first. After diving into everything, here's how I think the tools can be more usefully grouped to help you understand how the plugin works as a whole. Input. This is where you select your camera profile so Dehancer can interpret your footage correctly. You can also apply technical corrections here, such as exposure and color adjustments, which will influence how all the subsequent modules behave. If you filmed in log, use this section for your corrections. If you're working with RAW footage though, make those adjustments in the Camera Raw tab before applying Dehancer. Film emulation, which has got film, film developer, film compression, and expand. Film is where you choose your film emulation. There are many options for color negative, color positive, black and white, and a few other categories. Your choice here can significantly affect how the following adjustments will behave. For example, if you choose a color negative film stock and use the push-pull menu, you will see changes in white balance or saturation with less pronounced exposure shifts. If you apply a color positive film stock, you will see significant changes in exposure that resemble digital exposure sliders. The tools from Film Developer simulate how analog film, which is the original footage shot in a film camera, would be chemically developed. In the analog process, factors such as developer type, temperature, time, agitation can significantly change how the film stock looks. For example, the same film stock can appear punchier, flatter, or more saturated depending on how it is processed. Film compression mimics the smooth highlight roll-off of analog film, especially color negatives. Unlike digital sensors that clip highlights sharply, film gently compresses them, preserving detail in overexposed areas. If your footage is flat, like log or raw, the expand tool lets you set through black and white levels so that the image matches the dynamic range that real film would have. Dehancer recommends that you adjust this right after the selection of the film profile. Print emulation. Print simulates the next step in the analog pipeline, creating a print from a developed negative. Think of this as the projection-ready version of your film. It mimics the gamma, density, and tonal behavior of the actual print stock. The tweaks from the submenu simulate how a print stock behaves when exposed to different printing conditions, particularly the light exposure and optical printing settings. The color head tool emulates the cyan, magenta, and yellow filtration system used in analog photo enlargers, essentially how a darkroom printer would adjust the color cast of the print by inserting filters into the light path. Effects. These are creative, stylized tools that mimic the physical characteristics of analog film, Everything from grain structure and halation to film jitter and aging effects. These aren't about color science or tonal response. They're about the feel and imperfections that add that final touch of authentic film stock. You probably won't be needing these unless you're specifically going for a heavy vintage film look. So these are based on geometric distortion or local adjustments and visually mimic things like the film perforations, scratches, emulsion grain, dust, or flicker. These effects won't be included if you export the LUT from Dehancer. Output. The output is very important because it controls the overall strength or impact of the entire Dehancer pipeline. Think of it like a master mix level for all the processing that you've done. Monitor. The monitor gives you a false color preview to show which parts of your image are under or overexposed. It's super useful for spotting clipping, at least in theory. But in our tests, 2 different cameras and formats, some clearly clipped areas never showed up as clipped, so no red at all. LUT generator. This lets you export the LUT with all your Dehancer settings, except those from the effects category that we talked about above. Options. And then the final thing, options, general plugin settings and preferences.
Let me interrupt you there for a little while. I just want to mention the fact that Dehancer is also an app you can find on Apple Store, on iOS. Dehancer is a very cool app to edit your photos and videos, emulating film, trying all those filmic looks, all those crazy settings they have on. It's a free to download, it's a subscription base, and I think it's worth it. Give it a try.
Let's take a look at some pros and cons. Pros. It's a big time saver in the grading process. Dehancer really speeds things up. Instead of building a film look from scratch, you can get beautiful cinematic results much faster. It has over 60 film stock emulations to choose from. With such a wide variety of film profiles, it's super easy to experiment and quickly find the look that fits your footage. It makes the creative process a lot more fun and efficient. It offers a wide range of tools for precise image control. Dehancer gives you fine-tuned adjustments for specific parts of your image that are hard to replicate manually using just DaVinci Resolve's built-in tools. The results also feel much more natural and smooth, thanks to the way it mimics the subtle behavior of real film. At the end of the day, the kicker is that you can still make use of Dehancer Pro even if you don't want a specific film profile look. Dehancer's tools aren't hard linked to film profiles. They apply film logic like compression, expansion, gamma shifts, which mimics analog behavior even if you skip the film section entirely. So it's like using a generic film LUT versus a Kodak whatever LUT. It's still filmic, just not emulsion specific. And the very last, yet important reason why you may want to consider buying this. If you're using a tricky camera format like Sigma FP shooting in BRAW, Dehancer's input tools can sometimes make more sense of your footage than DaVinci's usual color space settings. It does a great job when metadata is missing or things just aren't matching up right. Cons. I've got 3 cons, or improvements rather. False colors. Clipping. In the footage I tested, the false colors didn't show clipping points accurately. In other footage, it did. It's worth investigating. The drop-down menu layout. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the drop-down menu could really benefit from a little restructuring. A cleaner layout would make navigating the plugin feel a lot smoother. Expand tool placement. Since Dehancer recommends adjusting the expand tool right after picking your film stock, it makes more sense to move that section directly under the film menu. That way, it follows their suggested workflow. More menu tooltips. I love that you get those little explanations when you hover over submenus. It's super helpful. It would be awesome to have something similar for the main menu items too, just to help users understand what each section does at a glance. Should you buy it? I really think you should give Dehancer a shot for your next project. Unlike most film emulation plugins or LUT packs that only offer one-time purchases, Dehancer gives you the flexibility of a 1-month subscription for $59. that gives you full access to all the powerful tools in Dehancer Pro on any video editing platform, plus access to the photo app, iOS app, and Dehancer Online. If you're a videographer like us, handling everything from shooting to editing and color grading, the lifetime license is definitely worth considering. And if you do decide to go for it, you can support our channel and get 10% off with our promo code written below. Somewhere. You can also get the Dehancer Lite version, but there are a few important things missing. The first is the lack of support for advanced workflows, and then several missing tools. To be honest, the only ones I really care about are film developer and film compression, and the absence of the latter is a deal breaker for me. Conclusion. I have to admit that by the time I finished putting this review together, I was biased in a positive way. As a self-declared nerd, I couldn't help but dive deep into all the functions that Dehancer Pro offers. So take this as my subjective, admittedly biased, but genuinely honest conclusion. Dehancer is hands down the most complex, versatile, and customizable film emulation tool I've come across. At $549 full price, Dehancer Pro can't exactly be counted among the cheaper options out there. But what you're getting is a complete arsenal of advanced, customizable, and beautifully accurate film emulation tools. It's a powerhouse. You can quickly create your signature look and apply it across projects, while easily tweaking contrast and exposure between shots, all without ever leaving the plugin. Now, full disclosure, to really unlock the magic and understand what each tool does and how they interact, I had to dive into quite a bit of reading on Dehancer's website and other sources. The documentation is super detailed, and yes, they go deep into the science behind it all, but it does mean that there's a bit of a learning curve. It also helps if you have some basic knowledge of analog film, things like emulsion chemistry, development, and print processes. That said, it was totally worth it. The sequence of tools matters. Their behavior even changes based on what kind of film emulation you choose, especially the choice between color negative and color positive film stock. Huge thanks to the Dehancer team for reaching out and giving us the chance to try this beast of a plugin. And honestly, chapeau bas for the amount of work, science, and technical brilliance behind it. What's next? Keep an eye out for our upcoming video where we dive deep into Dehancer Pro. We'll show you how to get the absolute best of this powerful toolkit, including a tour of all the 60 plus film emulations, the difference between color negative and color positive stocks, and why it matters, detailed breakdowns of each tool, submenu, and their real-world analog counterparts. All the different ways, or at least many different ways, to work with contrast and exposure, and how each of them behave differently, and loads more. We're also working on a separate video all about color grading workflows in DaVinci Resolve, including both ACES and DaVinci YRGB pipelines as recommended by Dehancer, plus a custom setup specifically for those tricky formats like Sigma, FP, BRAW. And if you decide to buy, don't forget to use our code here, there, somewhere, okay, for a sweet 10% discount. That's it from today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.